All right, welcome to another episode of the Canucks Chatter podcast. We've been away for a while. I'm Rafal. That is Victor. Before we get started the show, as always, follow us, subscribe on YouTube, leave us comments, like the video. We're also on X, or formerly known as Twitter.
Notification button.
Yeah, do that. Follow us on those platforms, and we haven't seen each other actually since the last recording, so it's been a couple weeks. A lot has happened for the Vancouver Canucks. But how was your holidays? Because we haven't had a chance to ask you that yet.
I was quiet. Had a couple weeks off of work and just chilled. Watched some TV. Sat on the couch. Got some Netflix going. Played some video games. And yeah, not too bad. You?
Yeah, pretty close to that. Yeah, pretty chill. Just family stuff. Food, all that, and just relaxed. Nice to have some days off. When you get back to work, it's kind of like, I don't miss this all that much.
Today was the first day at work. I was like, this is what it's like again.
Yeah, it's it's nice to sit on the couch. But I assume the Vancouver Canucks had a little bit of that, but mostly a lot other things going on. We'll get into that.
Before we get into it, I want to give a shout out to friend of the show, Greg Ballack, his wife Katie, and his daughter Rosie. They welcomed a fourth member of their family today. They had a brand new healthy baby girl this morning.
Wow! Congrats to them. I didn't know that. It's a big day then. A lot of extra work coming up.
Good thing they've done it once before, so this will be easier, not easy.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't know that. That's congrats to them. So for the Canucks, we just good time to record. The Vancouver-Montreal game just ended. Another overtime game for Vancouver. Another loss for Vancouver.
9 on the year.
Yeah. So could go a couple ways, I think, but for you, what's your biggest takeaway of that game between Montreal and Vancouver?
More defensive mistakes. Yeah, with a one goal went off Hughes, but the lack of put the foot on the neck when they were up to 3-1. Yeah, it's the worst lead in hockey, but still you got a 2-goal lead. You would think they would be able to just get that killer instinct that they had that of last year, and again just didn't finish it off. Another blown lead. The defense again, for the most part, just didn't do their job. They couldn't get it out of their zone, and not having a puck mover again. You can always start Desharnais instead of a natural puck mover like Brandstrom, because that seems to be working right now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the team just kind of seems somewhat of a fragile group right now. And I think a lot of that has got to do with kind of the back end. Obviously Hronek is gone when they didn't have Hughes, who did come back to this game. Still doesn't seem like he's probably 100%, but you're still. I think that's kind of where it starts, right? Because that first breakout pass, when you're under pressure to make that right, play, whether it's chip it out of the zone instead of just getting it up the wall and turning it over or icing it, the decision making isn't always the greatest for the back end. And the blown leads, like this is kind of a story that's following the team right now. We look back at that Seattle game 2 times, right? They blew leads, and it's just when I look at this game against Montreal, in your mind you kind of think, okay, it's Montreal, it's not that tough of an opponent. But if you factor in this game, they've won 8 of their last 10 games. Like they're on a roll. They're playing well.
They're playing well.
Yeah, so give them that.
Back in the playoff hunt. But
yeah.
This is a game this should have been a win, because the schedule's coming up really hard, and
I was
chance to get 2 points. It didn't matter if they won in overtime or regulation. This should have been 2 points. But again, won't blame goaltending. Lankinen probably could have made a save. Kevin's made that save for most of the year, but not going to blame him. He did what he could do, and it's a team effort. Wasted some good performances from JT Miller and Niels Höglander until 1946 of the third period.
Yeah.
Lecker-Mackey. This team's, it's just interesting. This team, they're not great, but they're not bad. They're not a dumpster fire like those teams in New York. They're not Colorado good. They're or Florida good, but they're not mediocre either. It's like they're
Yeah, they're
all over
somewhere
the
in the middle.
place.
They're kind of what what their record shows. They're a middle of the pack team in the NHL, and that's kind of what they are. Um, yeah, I thought the game, like Montreal started off hot. They like throughout the entire game, I think Montreal was the better team. I think Vancouver had its moments in the second period where they kind of started to push back. They get those 2 quick goals, which in 30 something seconds or something like that. They get 2 goals, and that's where you kind of think, okay, now they can kind of switch it. But then towards the end of that second, Montreal started to come on. Third period, it's Montreal until the penalty, and Vancouver ties it. But yeah, I mean, it's not a shocking result in terms of, if you watch the game, it's Montreal was a little bit quicker on pucks at most of the time. They had more chances. Yeah, like you said, watching Lankinen, I don't think he had a bad game. Maybe he'd like to have one or two of those back, but they have a goalie in net that's not, not as strong. They probably don't even make it to overtime. Like he had to make some big saves at moments. So yeah,
Kevin did his part, but his teammates didn't help him out, and
yeah,
it's just wasting these prime years of Quinn Hughes, where he's not of his team friendly deal. That's the biggest frustration. His next contract is not going to be team friendly, and while you have him on a team friendly deal, should be trying to contend. It's like in the NFL when you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, you should try to get into a Super Bowl or be high contending teams while their contract is still good, and that's what Hughes' contract is. And right now they're just wasting those years away, which is frustrating.
Yeah, and I think that lends itself to a bigger conversation of what's kind of going on with the team. With Pettersson and Miller, it's nothing new. We've talked about this before, and it's been noise here for a while, but I think it's gotten a little bit stronger. And from reports from reputable media members, it seems like which makes sense. The team is listening to offers on both players. I think the fan base is somewhat divided on which player. I think we've had this talk. I think it was probably our last episode where we say, hey, you go with the younger guy, right?
Every episode.
Yeah, or every episode. That's true. But you go with the younger guy, right? Like that's pretty apparent. But it seems like the team this has been a problem for a while. And the team has said, hey, we need both of you. Like in an ideal world, obviously, the Canucks organization wants them to figure it out, to find a way to rally around it and for the team to come together. And that's what they said, hey, you guys have to figure this out. But it seems like it's clearly not going to work at this point. I don't know what can change to make it work. None of us are in the dressing room. We don't know. But if it seems it's leaning that it's not going to work. And if you do, I guess until you fully make the decision, whether they have decided that already or not, we don't know. Until they make that decision and then make the move, I don't know if this team can contend like that if you have that going on in the locker room.
Yeah, they it's not even they don't like it. It seems like they hate each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not just don't like each other, because I'm sure there's other there's so many teams, like you're not going to always love your teammate sometimes when there's 20 something guys in the room, but it's something else there maybe.
And when Miller wasn't around for those few weeks, Pettersson was playing some of his best hockey. It was like almost as if there's a huge piano off his back. And as soon as Miller came back, we came back to seeing struggle bus PD offensively. Defensively, he's still outstanding. And Miller's, until tonight, his production has been dry as well. He hasn't been a play driver or anything.
Yeah.
And it's just hurting the team, and these guys just don't seem to work with each other. And the fact that Alvin threw Pettersson under the bus, but not Miller enough, like it goes two ways. And I don't know if this is their way of pushing someone, like, or unless it's calculated that we don't know, like, hey, I'm going to say this during this interview, and you guys are going to get thrown under the bus. So hopefully this will light a fire in them. I don't know what the reasoning, but the fan base is divided between Miller and Pettersson. I feel management and coaching staff have picked their side, and it's who
Mm-hmm.
they support, but they also know how to run a business, and I don't see them trading Pettersson. And this is the only season. And one thing I think I might see it happening is how when if they trade, say they trade Pettersson, does the Pettersson supporters just check out and it's like, oh, I don't want to play for this team. They chose the wrong guy, and vice versa. They trade Miller. Do the Miller guys? Oh, fuck this shit. I'm not going to try anymore either.
Mm-hmm.
Goes both ways, and that happens. And maybe and also was Bo Horvat as the old captain? Was he playing peacemaker on both sides? Because ever since he's left it seemed that rift seems to have grown.
Yeah, it's unfortunate it's gotten to this point, but yeah, like there's no side that's going to be happy whether if they end up trading one of the two. There's always going to be pros and cons of it, because they're two vastly different, not necessarily like players for sure, but it's just their temperament. I think the reason why possibly management and coaching staff, really loves JT Miller is because it's hard to find guys that care that much, right? So you want a guy that seems like they want to do anything to win. Although it seems like, for some people it's too much on that side. And then you have the
It's not
opposite
the
where
first
Pettersson.
time he's had
Yeah,
problems in the dressing
exactly.
room. He's had
Yeah.
it in New York, he's had it in Tampa, and now it's leaking over here. Where
Yeah.
well, everyone says they love Petey,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah. Well, but,
so there's no one's been calling out Pettersson. The only ones that are calling out Pettersson are people that aren't in the dressing room.
yeah, I think because they see a guy who's kind of the opposite, where his temperament is very kind of, he's quieter. He's a little more to himself. He's not a guy that's fiery,
He gi- yeah,
not that he can't
he
be.
gives it his all. He wants
Yeah.
to win as much as anyone. He
Mm.
hates losing. You've seen it in him, and this is probably killing him inside.
Well, I'm sure it's kind of a distraction for everybody. It's not just those
Yeah,
two guys. It's the rest of the team that are around it, right?
yeah.
They're around it, and it's yeah. Quinn Hughes has apparently tried to mediate it and try to do what he can, but eventually, if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And yeah, with making a trade of this magnitude, that's a tough thing to pull off, and also a tough trade to win, considering reports are they want a center back, which makes sense, and then they probably want a
No team is
defenseman
going to give
back.
up. Who's
Yeah,
going to give up
especially
a center for center?
yeah, and also their value's at a low because everyone knows what's happening, right? Like it's
Yeah,
a tough time, and then
yeah.
you have to factor in too that the fact that if they can't do it in season or before the trade deadline, they can do it in the off season, which is maybe makes more sense. But isn't there's a no trade clause kicking in, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many different factors that make it really difficult. So yeah, I don't know.
And the big rumor is saying New York with the Rangers, but I don't think they want Mike Zibanejad's contract. That is not a very good contract
Mm-hmm.
after right now with very little production coming out of that. That's not worth it. And then Keandre Miller's not playing that well. All the pieces that they want aren't coming the right way.
Well, it's buying
If
low on both sides, I guess, right? Because like
yeah,
same with the Rangers, it's like you can't really
yeah,
point at anybody and be like they're
yeah.
playing well because they're
Hey,
not. So it's
if they want Pettersson, I'd be glad to take Adam Fox off their hands.
yeah, well, that's never gonna happen.
Superstar for superstar. That'd be I would
Yeah.
then perfect. Hughes
But
can play
it's
with Fox on one pair and Hronek can handle with the second pair.
yeah. But
I
the
mean,
hard thing is too is like if you look at Pettersson, obviously you're gonna get more value for him because of the age and um the age really. That's the big factor. But you also have to look at his cap hit, right? 11.6 million. It's a league where you can't just look at how good a player is. You have to look at how good they are in comparison to how much cap hit or percentage of the
yeah.
cap they take. So
If you're gonna win, you're gonna need some guy who takes up that much cap space.
yeah, but if they take
Florida
up that
had it
much
with
cap
Kachuk. Yeah.
for sure, but if they take up that much cap space, they have to be a difference maker all the time. And, maybe if, Miller and Pettersson aren't on the same team, maybe we can see more of that from Pettersson, whether that's in Vancouver or somewhere else. But the inconsistencies or the consistency hasn't been there to warrant that cap hit yet. But we've seen it before, so it's kind of, it's a tough one everywhere.
Yeah, because Pettersson's not hurting the team though. That's the thing. Where Miller, when he's indifferent, is like, look at that game against Ottawa. 2 goals were directly because JT Miller didn't back check. You very rarely not see Pettersson in the right spot in checking his man. He's there. He's getting the puck out and starting plays. He's just not creating as much offensively. When Miller's not on his game, like go back to the Ottawa game, he's skating backwards and then just floats to the middle of the ice, and his check just flies right past him. And Besser did his best to try to get back, but Miller just left his guy to go float to no man's land and ended up a goal. Same thing with overtime. Decides to not check his guy, streaks right past him, and another goal. And this is all, it's something that we've seen from Miller.
We've seen in the past,
and it's creeping back into his game.
Well, I agree with you. I do think that if you're forced, obviously, which kind of seems like it is, to move one of them, you're moving Miller. That's what I think. For the balance in the dressing room, and also the fact that Pettersson's term and age, you have to keep it
also
around.
Quite the lower cap hit also.
Yeah, that's where you kind of see the value there. That's why other teams, are obviously interested.
Getting a star player for less than $10 million, that's a good deal.
But I wonder too, if, I don't know, there might be some teams out there, because let's say we play armchair GM for a second, and you maybe think, okay, JT Miller, great player, wears his heart to sleep, but what if I bring him into my dressing room and there's problems there? So there might be some hesitancy, but I don't think that'll be anything enough to stop any team from trying to pick him up just because of what he brings.
Can he be not the alpha male on a team? He has struggled with that everywhere he goes, except usually I don't give much credit to the Eastern scribes, but Biz Nasty, who's not a scribe, but he's well connected in the hockey business and spends a lot of time out here, and he said that the Rangers are willing to move mountains to get JT Miller. And if maybe it's time for New York to part with Lafreniere. I don't think they will. I would love it as a Canucks fan, but
I don't
think the Rangers are willing to give him up yet. But if a package revolves around him, that'd be great. Cheadle, I don't really want a guy with multiple concussions. The Canucks have dealt with that in the past years with Tucker Pullman and Michael Ferland, so I'm not really to do that. And again, I'll go back to Adam Fox. Sounds great.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen for Vancouver. But
I'll
the Rangers will
1-for-1 deal.
Yeah, I think anybody would. I don't think the Rangers. I think they're at a point where they're looking to make some changes because it's not working out for them. Much worse than it is for Vancouver, because if you look at the teams that are expected to win a cup, the Rangers are higher than Vancouver, and they are lower than Vancouver in the standings. They're way
a
down.
tire fire. They're right up there with Buffalo.
Yeah, but I mean, the Rangers have way higher expectations, right? Didn't they make it to the conference finals last year?
Yeah, they were President's Trophy winners last year. Yeah. They have the best goalie in the world and a top 3 defensemen in the league. Guys like Chris Kreider are really good, and
it's
Vincent
just
Trocheck. Look, not that I'm sad to see the Rangers do poorly. I am sad to see Shesterkin not doing well because I got him in my pool. I don't want to get rid of him yet.
It's I don't know. That's a big. Just imagine if that's like a Canadian team. Rangers are pretty much a huge franchise too. So it's fire over there right now. It's crazy to see.
Maybe Florida could use another center, and Aaron Ekblad is pending UFA will come this
I wouldn't
way?
think so. I think Florida's really happy with where they're at. They don't need to make a big shakeup. And if they did, they lost Montour and Larson in the offseason, so they would probably want some help on D. Yeah, it's hard in season because teams are still trying to figure out, where they're at if they're making a playoff push and all this kind of things. Like you don't want to just make a massive trade, especially right
Do
now.
one of
But we'll
those
see.
old school 1990s trades where you trade 4 for 4,
Yeah, I miss
3
those
for
days.
6. And they were
I miss
hockey
those.
trades. They weren't just
Yeah.
salary dumps. They'd be like, okay, you take our second pair defenseman, and we'll take your second line winger,
Hmm.
and let's throw in all these pieces. It wasn't like it's no longer we'll take your star player, we'll give you a first rounder, a prospect, and this middling guy.
Yeah, it's just the salary cap. It's the money in, money out now that's
Yeah,
making it so much harder. It's not just, hey, what am I getting? It's am I getting cap relief? Like we see that now. It's before like you've seen good like what was it? Line Patrick Line is still a good hockey player, but you look at his cap hit and they're like, oh, what did he get? They get a second and a prospect for him. That's not that much for a guy that was second overall. But it's because of his cap hit. If it
but
wasn't
it's
hit at low,
also his off ice issues where he's been
yeah,
struggling,
hmm,
and he wanted out. So Columbus was taking pennies on the dollar.
yeah, exactly. Um, yeah, I don't
Like
know
the
what.
Roberto Luongo for Todd Bertuzzi trade. That was a great deal for Vancouver.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see those kind of trades really anymore. I mean, the last big one we saw was like that comes to mind is that Kachuk deal.
Yeah, and
Like that was a
so,
hockey trade right there.
yeah, I mean,
But
worked out well for one team.
yeah,
Worked out well
yeah,
for everyone. Florida worked out for Florida, and it worked out for Uyghur and Hubert because they both got paid.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Well, right now Vancouver's still. If you look at like Vancouver's standings, they're in a playoff spot, but they're up 2 points on I believe it's Calgary. So it's getting tight for Vancouver, and
The tough part of the schedule is coming too.
yeah, I was just gonna get to that because like today would be a nice game to win and get the 2 points because you got Washington, and then you have a back to back with Carolina on Friday, Toronto on Saturday. Like those are three good
Yeah,
teams. And Washington,
yeah.
if you think about it, it's like oh, is Washington like I think they're the number one team in the NHL, are they not?
Not sure where they are, but man, no one knows how they're doing it, but they're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know either. And Ovi's like I don't know, or just came back from his injuries, just scoring again.
Hey,
Yeah,
Russian
50s.
machine broke down, and machine got repaired really quickly.
Yeah.
Back to better than ever.
Yeah, that's that. I mean, I'm hoping he beats the goal record. It'd be cool if he does this year. He needs 22 more, so it's possible with half the season left if he stays healthy.
And when the Canucks come home next week, they got LA and Edmonton coming in.
Yeah, I mean, there's no easy off game at all, so it's going to be tough, especially with. Yeah, do we know
And
when Pettersson's coming back?
should be sometime. He
Skating.
practiced today,
Yeah, that's
so
what I
he
was
was
going to say. So,
not sure what his injury is, but Quinn looked like he had a splint on his hand.
mm-hmm.
I think it was his middle finger, so I don't know if it was a fracture or whatever it was.
Yeah,
Didn't seem to affect him too much. He's
no,
still Quinn out there.
yeah. I forget if you've watched a Prime. Oh, Canucks did play on one Prime game before,
Yeah,
but what did you think of the broadcast today?
so much better than Sportsnet.
Hmm.
I
I,
I,
I I like it. I love
I
Prime.
would
It
rather
was it's good.
have Shorty and Ferraro and DT on the call, but
Hmm.
the production value is so much better.
It's so good. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the
and
best production value. I feel like.
there's no Luke Gadzik.
Yeah, yeah. It's
No Bieksa, but that's a negative. No Luke Gadzik is a big step up.
I just really love the well even who Forsling, right? Forsling does
Yeah,
he's the announcer. Like
John
I
Forsling.
like him, John Forsling. I think he's good. I really love the sound quality. It's just like you can hear
Yeah,
everything. You could hear the ice,
yeah,
you could hear the boards, the sound of the puck flying off of sticks from, one tape to tape or to the back of the net, the mesh sound, like it just sounds
yeah. It's
great. I love
really
it.
nice. It's everything's crisper.
Yeah, yeah. It makes you feel, I don't know, so much more engaged. Like when there's a hit thrown and you can hear that's another thing too with I mean, I don't know, like throwing companies under the bus, but like some of the other broadcasts, it's like they almost muffle the crowd sound
Yeah.
sometimes. or
Yeah,
just
TSN does a
Prime.
good job of it
Yeah,
as well.
they do.
They're they keep you engaged. Their production value is really good. It's Sportsnet
Mhm.
that just let us down, making changes that weren't necessary. Like, no one wants
Yeah,
to see the revolving ads.
yeah. You mean like the
It
board
doesn't.
ads or what?
Yeah, it doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't care about it, but no one like no one cares about that innovative thing.
No, because I
It's
mean,
which is it.
especially when.
The revolve when the ads are there, we just don't notice them. But when you're revolving, now you notice them, and
Hmm.
in, in, in a
You want to
bad
focus
way.
on the play. Yeah, you want to focus on
Yeah,
the play, and if it
like,
malfunctions, which it has in the past, it's like a huge
yeah,
glaring problem.
yeah, because you can see when the ads are just there, like, oh look, it's a ad for Panago. Please sponsor us, Panago. We would love to have free pizza and give you a shout out. But yeah, when they're just there, like, oh, Panago. When it's revolving, like, I'll get that stupid ad, whatever, for XXX company.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh well. I mean, it's at least we have other options. It's cool that Prime is stepping up
Yeah.
and doing this. I mean, it's just for Monday nights, but it's cool to have another option out
ESPN's
there.
done a good job with theirs as well. We don't
Hmm.
get ESPN.
Yeah, sadly, we don't see that, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
wish it
there's
was
options.
Prime, 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 Prime using their presentation with Canuck announcers.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's
And and one of the things, I don't know if it was a Sportsnet thing or a Rogers Arena thing, but they raised the where the hard cam is up to a little bit higher, and I just haven't enjoyed it. I feel further away from the action, and I can't
right.
see
The, mm,
the the angles are just so different.
like the Canucks broadcast, right? Like the
Yeah,
camera. Yeah,
yeah.
I they changed it. Yeah, when how long? I don't know how long ago that was,
It's
but
been
like
2 3 seasons now.
yeah, it's a
I
I don't
haven't
like it either.
enjoyed it.
No, it's you don't like it's exactly what you said. You just don't feel as engaged. Doesn't feel as you know the camera angle they had before was just it felt so much faster and you're closer to the
Yeah,
action, and it's a little I don't know, man,
it
not as
was more
good. I don't.
centered. Now it
Yeah,
feels off center.
yeah, for sure. There's a couple because every team has like slightly different camera angles, and
Yeah.
there's I forget which other team. There's like one or two other teams that have something similar to that, and I'm not a huge fan of it. But that's what like there's if you ever watch Florida's broadcast, it's like super close, where it's like kind of the extreme the other way, where it's like
Well,
very
they have
low.
no fans. They have no fans in the building though, so they can
but
they can
but
put
it's
the camera
really
anywhere.
low. But it's like really low where you like you'd like it to be a little bit higher so you can kind of see a bit more of the space around
Yeah,
because
just
here it's like
over the boards.
yeah, it's just over the board. It's a little too extreme the other way, but I mean,
Yeah,
I guess we're nitpicking. Um, another thing is that we didn't get to is Demko, another injury. It's kind of starting to feel like this. You're anytime something happens, he goes down. You're a little afraid, which is not really a good sign from your number one goalie. Despite Lankinen playing well, like you want your starter or your star goalie to stay healthy, but I don't know. Like it's kind of becoming a little bit of a problem.
yeah. Kevin's played well all year, but Demko's a difference maker. He's probably
Hmm.
a top five goalie or just outside top five goalie when he's completely healthy, and it's a little frustrating on his part, and it's sad to see because he's a
Yeah.
good goalie, good person.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, his body is a little hurting him down a little bit, and hopefully he can get recovered from this. But heard it's only a minor thing. It might be a back injury and not really his
Back
knee. So
spasms or something. Yeah.
yeah, so he's on the road trip, so that's good news. He practiced, so I don't think it'll be too long before he'll be able to back up Kevin, or maybe even get a start in one of those back to backs.
Hmm. Yeah, it just depends. Be interesting to see how they. I mean, the conversation's a lot easier if he's back, but if he isn't, then who plays on the back to back? You got Carolina and Toronto. That's uh,
Arthur
two tough
Shilovs,
matches. Yeah, he's
yeah,
gonna play one of
we'll
them.
see. He's been better in Abbotsford than he has been in looking
Hmm.
up in the big club. So
I
maybe that
think
will
if
give
you,
him his confidence, and
yeah,
he'll look back to playoff Shilovs.
I would say you play Lankin in the Friday game. Or sorry, no, let me. It really depends who's there. I say you play Lankinen against Toronto,
Yeah, the
and
second
then
part,
yeah,
go with the number one in the first game. When
yeah,
the
'cause you're gonna
team's
be
a
more
little fresher,
tired.
go with the
Yeah,
backup.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
would do.
let Kevin handle it, and handle the barrage shots, which he seems to be good at, and have the team somewhat structured defense on the
Friday.
opening night.
Yeah, because they're going to be fresher and maybe they can, kind of limit the chances against. Although Carolina's a good team, Toronto's a good team. It's not going to be easy either way. But yeah, like so far,
a really good team.
They got a really good team. Yeah, I'm curious on their goaltending. That was only my
when he comes is still in it. He's still in it right now for them. And it's a rotating band of backups right now for them.
Yeah, and that's the thing with why I don't see them as like a legit top contender, one of the 5-6 teams, is because I don't know if their goaltending come playoff time, if it's gonna hold up.
It depends if they go after John Gibson out in Anaheim.
It's just a big contract though, and has he not really looked? I mean,
he's looked more like classic John Gibson than he has the last couple of years. You have to look at his advanced stats more than anything because
the team
and eye test. So
yeah,
he's been a lot better. I think Carolina's window possibly closing soon. It might be time to just go out, eat the cap hit of Gibson, and trade away a couple of prospects.
Why do you think their window's closing soon?
Some of the guys are getting a little bit older now.
But their like core is still young, I'd say. Right?
Burns is not a young kid anymore up there.
Yeah, I guess on the defensive end, but they're still
even though Slavin is still elite, he's the way his style, he could just become not super elite defender and just a good defenseman at any time soon. Aho's not having a great year, but he might be luckily for them, Nate Cash has stepped up his game quite a bit.
Yeah.
But they do have one of the best coaches in Brindamore, so that, not that counting Carolina out, I still see them as one of the top 4 teams in the league, especially out east, of how the East has been looking brutal this year. Until they come play Vancouver at home in Vancouver, and then all of a sudden every team in the East looks like the 98 Red Wings.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
every team that comes to Vancouver plays like the 98 Red Wings.
What's Vancouver's home record? It's not only against Eastern teams. I guess they can do it.
Get the wins. It was a lot in overtime and shootout.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at the overtime shootout and put that as just a loss, they've lost more games than they've won.
Oh yeah. 9 losses now. The league record in the salary cap era is 18 by Philadelphia. They ended the year with 84 points.
If
the playoffs.
If this next week and a half things really don't go well for Vancouver, they'll be out of a playoff spot within a week.
Yeah. They've been out of the playoff spot already this year.
But very brief stints. Yeah. Very brief, right? Well, they have games in hand, but I mean, like now, Calgary and Vancouver are tied in games played, so that's gone. It's just they're 2 points ahead, but
Calgary's playing tonight, so that'll
change.
That will give the Canucks the game back.
Who's Calgary for? Oh, Anaheim. No. Oh, they're not playing tonight. They're playing tomorrow.
Oh, I thought I saw them playing against the Kraken tonight.
They are playing Anaheim, so good chance they can get a W there.
Anaheim's playing better lately too.
They have been playing better. You never know, right? Like Montreal just beat Florida and a bunch of other teams, so anything could happen.
I'm not opposed to selling at the deadline. The way the season's going, I'm not opposed to that. Whatever they have, if they have assets to sell, do it.
Do you see Vancouver as the team they were last year, as closer to the team they were last year or this year, or do you think they're somewhere in between?
There's some. I don't know. They're definitely nowhere near last year. They just have not. There's been very few games where they've looked like last year. Both games against Florida, the game against Colorado. That's the only ones I can really recall. But a lot of the
Yeah.
other times, it's just been something's gone wrong. There's a period where they don't look good, or even on games they beat the good teams, it's been Kevin stealing the show, or something's happened. Like they did the research where in the past, I think it was 18 years, when they have Quinn Hughes on the shifts, they're at one of the best teams in during that era. When he on shifts where he's not in, they are some of the worst teams in that era. So, and that's not just the 32 teams. That's every team that's played in the last 18 years. So without if Quinn Hughes isn't there, this team is in trouble.
Well, it's a huge drop off when he's not on the ice. That's for sure. Like that back end is it's just not a there's not a contending back end at all.
JT Miller for Adam Fox, big blockbuster, helps both teams.
It does not. I don't think it helps.
Change.
I don't think it helps.
They get a forward who scores a lot.
Yeah, but they
Adam
lose.
Fox helps Vancouver fill that puck moving defenseman.
Yeah,
sure. I don't know why you
Höglander to. Might as well throw Höglander to the Oilers for McDavid. I think that'll help as well, both sides.
That's a little far fetched. Come on. At least JT Miller is an A plus player.
Yeah, but Fox. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
I think star for star there. You're trading a third liner for a superstar.
Yeah, but I mean, like as a from the Canucks side, you'd make that deal in a heartbeat. On the Rangers side, you'd be like,
general manager.
Yeah,
I'm an armchair GM.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. They're all online. Yeah, I think that's. I don't know. I don't have anything else to really add. It's just going to be interesting to watch the games coming up this week. Yeah. Exactly. We can quickly talk about the World Juniors, the Team Canada. Another quarter.
Oh, while you were just talking, Canada actually just took another penalty.
Oh yeah, another one.
I think it was another interference call or a hooking. I don't.
Yeah, they took an insane amount of penalties.
Yeah,
they didn't have a good tournament.
Major calls weren't right. The team, they left a lot of players. Even Vancouver,
some coaching.
Like Sawyer Mineo played. He didn't play the first couple games, and then once they entered into the lineup, he did help the team a bit. Mm-hmm. But penalties was a team-wide thing. Leaving guys like Bennett Seneke and like that, I don't know how they left him off the team.
Yeah.
Or he was barely in consideration. Like, there's just they left score A+ scorers at home to take checkers. Like, nothing against the kids. The kids, they did what they could do.
Yeah, look, they played hard. Look, they were undisciplined, but like that's part coaching, part emotions. But it's not like they didn't try and didn't give it their all.
Yeah. It was the management team and the coaching staff that didn't put the kids in the right spot to succeed. Mm-hmm. Someone said best, where you can get checkers to grind, you can't get checkers to raise their scoring ability.
Yeah, I think there's some talk like, Hockey Canada isn't what it was before, or things like that. I think you also have to give props to some of the other countries that I think have gotten better overall, right? Like I think 100%. Finland has gotten. I just look at Finland, you think of some of the great Finnish players of the past, like Solani and things like that. But nowadays, their player base is so much better, and USA as well.
Rantanens, the Ahos.
Yeah, there's so many great players. Yeah, and then the U.S. has always been good, but they're churning out even more kind of great players. It's a lot of the other countries are catching up.
Teams are doing so much better, but Canada should not be back-to-back fifth-place finishes.
Yeah, for sure. That's
especially playing at home too.
Yeah,
it's outthinking yourself. I did the same thing in my football pool this year. I didn't trust my gut. I went with the wrong guy. Ended up finishing second. If I'd started the original guy, I would have won. Same thing with them. They outthought themselves, thinking, "You got to do this."
They wanted to build a team as opposed to try to pick the best players. Yeah. Is what they
look at the 2010 Olympics. They put Corey Perry, who was an MVP. He was on the fourth line.
Yeah, and he played a big part.
Brian Getzlaff. These guys were all checkers in 2010.
Yeah.
Well, did they complain? They didn't say a word. They just went out and played. Drew
'Cause I also
Doughty
think,
was a kid at that time, and what did he do? He was on the top pair. Did Niedermeyer or Pronger say anything? Nope.
no. But I think also too that the reason why you pick the best players is because the tournaments are so short, right? If you're gonna pick a team, like a team needs a long time to gel,
They
right?
didn't even practice either.
Exactly. They barely practice, so it's like the philosophy of I'm trying to pick a team. Well, it's hard. Like not everyone's going to get a role within just a couple weeks, right? Like it's you pick the best players and
pick the best players and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like scorers will adapt. Like that's why many first round picks don't make it as scorers in the NHL end up being really good checkers.
Yeah.
Manny Malhotra was a scoring star in junior. There wasn't much of a scoring player in the NHL. Guess what? Became an elite checker.
Yeah, there's only a couple, top offensive players that teams have that are at the top of the top, and if you're not the top of the top, you're gonna have to find a secondary role. You can still chip in offensively, but you have to find other ways, whether it's penalty kill, whether it's a guy who hits a lot, or is a good forechecker, or is an energy guy. You got to figure out other things.
Yeah, you got to adapt. You just can't play that one position and just expect it to go.
Yeah.
On some positive news, another Canuck prospect, Tom Willander, he was very good all tournament long.
Yeah.
Him and Sandin Pellikka, a Detroit prospect, were all good, but Willander was a very good shutdown defenseman. He was able to make that first pass. He reminded me quite a bit of Philip Hronek. Just made the right plays and was very solid, and future looks bright there. Hopefully, cross my fingers.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get to see him at the end of their season, and they'll get a game or two up here.
Yeah, just to kind of see how he looks, and with Vancouver's back end, they're going to need him to be a NHL ready defenseman sooner rather than later. But they're gonna have to figure that out. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes this week. Again, follow us on X at the Canucks Chatter. We're on YouTube, where this all is uploaded to. At the Canucks Chatter, we usually upload every Tuesday mornings, unless something comes up. We obviously had a break now. It was the holiday season, but we're back on a weekly schedule. And anything else you wanna add?
Nope.
Okay. Yeah, as episode's gone on long enough, we've rambled on about our thoughts. All right. Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you again next week.
Okay, let's go.